So let me ask you this though.
Yeah,
Being that you have been a victim of it, if you don't mind, do you mind talking about this a minute?
sure. Yeah,
Perhaps,
sure.
but just the
Yeah,
part,
go for it.
uh, the manipulate. Because one thing that I identified in all the stories and even the brief encounter I had with a pedophile, that they always come alluring. They come like they're trying to help. They come smile, soft spoken, and all of that, right? Is that
Uh,
seem like they are master manipulators. And it's just like even when a woman told me one time that she had an uncle that was molesting her for a long time, but she didn't know she got turned on to sexuality at a young age and didn't know no better, that she was doing something wrong, that something wrong was going on. But
right.
she even became more uh she came attracted to it. Not only that, but once she understood it was wrong and she broke the relationship was broken, the molestation had somewhat stopped, it turned her to a promiscuous woman.
Right.
I mean, many women talk about this. So when sometimes we look at the sexuality on some women, not that they're trying to be the opposite sex, but they're hypersexual,
Right.
meaning that they got turned on to sexual situations from a young age.
Mm.
So in their
Yeah.
mind, you turn on certain things. Can you remember the first time as a young man you got turned on to a sexual experience? Once you
Mm.
turned on, you was there.
Yeah.
I gotta make this happen again, make it happen again, make it happen again. So when you turn with this is the danger, another danger of a pedophile
Mm.
with women or men. Because the other side of that is that women can be pedophiles too, and we don't talk about that.
That's true.
Like I said, there's a great story, a great movie called Antoine Fisher. And if you hadn't seen Antoine Fisher, I advise you to go watch it. You'll see the character who played Antoine Fisher was molested by either a cousin or a neighbor, an older cousin or a neighbor, a female. So here's the thing: females can be just as disgusting as pedophiles too.
Yeah.
So we got to call it's the concept of pedophilia, this being hidden in plain sight type thing. You know, uh, I have not met many. For me as a man, it's been more women that have admitted now to being molested than men. And I believe that there's more because I can see the character in some men that sometimes something may have happened to them to where they feel that their manhood has been jeopardized. And like I always go back. God made you a man. A human can't take that away from you. They can violate you, but they can't take it away from you. God
Right.
made you that way. And this is the premise that I stand on. Manipulators. It's the same thing like with a pimp. A pimp is a manipulator. A pimp knows how to talk to a woman to get her to do certain things. He knows how to identify a woman that's in need of that type of counseling to get her to do what he wants her to do.
Right.
So in a sense, that particular form of pimping is predatory.
Right.
Just like these molesters, they are predators. They are sex traffickers. Because like the man, the one guy said, I keep going back to Afrika Bambaadaa because he needs to stand for this. He needs to stand right up, real talk. And that he would take them on trips and at the hotel molest them. That's trafficking.
Yeah.
So he needs to be hit. All those pedophiles need to be hit with everything that legally they can be hit with. You know. And so did you think your 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 molester, the one who did
Mm.
those things to you, was he
Mm.
persuasive in his talk, or was it abusive, an abusive situation?
It was a weird situation because he was older than me, but he was young. So it's like my guess is off the top of my head, somebody probably did it to him,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something that he, I don't know, decided to do to someone else. Probably be the best way to put it.
Right.
I
Right.
think it was one of those situations. So I don't think he was like really engulfed in manipulating and things like that. I think it was just something that he just thought he needed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was more of a reaction thing of just
Mhm.
what he was exposed to is what happened.
So
Um,
from what you're saying, it
mhm.
sounds like a older younger man. He was just older than you.
Yeah,
Had the influence of being older, and potentially this was going on in his household.
yeah, because
Saying,
he was actually one of the foster kids at my house.
yeah,
So
not
whatever.
the foster kid system. Foster kid
Yeah.
system. A lot of pedophiles, and that's another industry.
Uh,
A lot of them hide in plain sight. But go ahead, continue, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, 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 no.
Mhm.
So that was kind of the thing. It happened. I was young enough where I didn't quite understand. I knew that it was strange, different, stuff like that. Um, and like I said, but then it got to a point where I suppressed it, and it didn't really get in my way because I had kind of hidden it now. But with that being said, the older I got, where it started to really matter, when you get to puberty and things in high school and jazz like that, um, you start to, that's when I think little pieces of it start to come out, you know,
Yeah.
and you start to think of like, what does it mean? What does it mean for me? Um, am I this? Am I that? Am I that? Am I this? Because of these things.
Right.
And then,
So the question about
mhm,
sexuality comes into play then. It
right.
can't, right? And let's be honest
Mhm,
about this, because this can help a lot of people.
right.
This is what I mean about this pedophilia being tied to the LGBTQ thing, right?
Right.
Because a lot of young men and women who were molested, that's the word there is molested. They were taken advantage of by an older person and a more mature person sexually, right?
Right.
So understanding that we're talking about molestation, you have to really just tell the truth about what goes on in
Yeah.
in pedophilia. Most of these people have, I mean, well, not all, some of them, a large group of them have a proclivity for the same sex. And traditionally, sometimes it's men who have a proclivity for young boys, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's women also who have, nowadays, the women have become, a lot of them are so aggressive that they take on the character of a male themselves, right?
Hmm.
No, we live in that kind of world today.
True.
That same type of menacing um, aura concerning
Yeah.
sexuality, some of these women have as well. Because I can tell you, I've had women tell me that other women molested them, took advantage of them. Now, this is the truth. Okay, woman going through, been through 3 divorces.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use it, let you continue to talk. But 3 divorces. Now she says she don't want men no more. She's gonna date only women,
Right.
right? And turns and goes into that particular lifestyle and runs into a molester who was part of the LGBTQ community, right?
Hmm.
And not only did she run into her, had a relationship with her, but she also taught her how to persuade. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? How
Okay.
to persuade people to try it. This is, and I'm not making this up. And then anybody say that, oh, that's a lie. They're a liar. They're a liar. And I also challenge anyone, if you have been molested, or if you've been accused of pedophilia, or whatever it may be, if you're a pedophile, I'm gonna give it to you though. Don't come on here if you're a pedophile. But if you want to have a conversation about pedophilia, it's possible connection to the LGBTQ community in certain ways, then let's have that conversation intelligently,
Yeah.
without emotion, but with truth and facts.
Right.
But here's another thing. Yeah, to give it back to you. So did you did this guy seem like he was gay?
No, he was more like um just kind of disturbed maybe, like, because he had been through the foster care system,
Mhm.
and he was more aggressive.
Right, right.
Like he would be nice, but then he would be aggressive, and he was a little disturbed is probably the best way to explain him.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, he was more of an aggressive kind of guy. And that's really what I took away from that time, was that was that type, he was that type of guy.
Yeah.
So he wasn't too big into like persuading
Yeah.
uh nicely, or just gingerly breaking you into that sort of thing. He was more of like an aggressive kind of
He
guy.
was younger. He was younger, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was maybe 4 or 3 years younger than me.
Older than you?
Yeah, older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, he was learning to be deceptive. He probably started off physical because he was probably bigger and older.
Hmm.
He hadn't learned how to be deceptive as far as in his language and in his communicating deceptiveness.
Right.
Because that's the trick. And like I said, knowing friends of mine whose sons had been molested
Right.
by people who were influential figures in the community, right? We
Hmm.
talk about the church in particular because it pops up a lot there.
Right.
We'll call that a church. Those aren't churches, first of all. Those are synagogues of Satan.
Right.
That's what they are. I refuse to call any of those places churches. They are synagogues of Satan. If you got 120, and this is to the Catholic Church, if you have 120 what do they call them, archdiocese or whatever, being being accused of pedophilia, molestation,
Right.
and you haven't done nothing, nothing, not for real. These 120 people have not been brought up on charges. These 120 people don't know their names.
Yeah.
Just like the names of those who ran up into the Capitol, you need to know their names too. Who are these people? So we can go look them up. So we can bring some pain in their life, like they put in the life of these young children. I don't care who it is, and I would listen. I'm gonna tell every parent, you may be a young parent, whatever your age is, just like this foolishness you see with this Dalai Lama foolishness,
Hmm.
putting his tongue in the mouth of a young boy, and acting like that is proper behavior. It is not. It's not.
No, it's not. And take, I was gonna say, here's what I want everybody to know. I understand that. Here's the thing: the guy was young. He'd probably been molested more than likely by people. So I forgive the guy, because he wasn't like a predator. You know what I mean? It was just, that was something that was ingrained in him by somebody else.
Right.
You know? So, and I was a kid, he was a kid. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's a weird, of course,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
weird, horrific, strange situation.
Well, that's
But
just
what can you really do with that?
evidence,
Like,
that's evidence of how far you've come as a man. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? That remember forgiveness. I always say, man, there's some things that's hard to forgive, man. And I'm not a perfect person. There's some things I still haven't fully forgiven. I will pay lip service to it, but I don't have to
right,
be around the person or around the people that I was upset with. you know.
Right.
But I've learned along the way to forgive, and I had to start with my parents. I mean, just the brokenness,
Right.
just that kind of thing that, you know, not, in my opinion, not showing up as parents.
Mhm.
Or, you know, that's a whole another different thing. But I understand exactly what you're saying there, brother. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. And I had to do the same thing with my parents to reference yours,
Mhm.
I had to do the same thing. And um, like I don't hold any ill will. I forgive the guy because like I said, we were kids. What could it was an awkward situation, when a kid goes through that and they replicate something like that. And if you
Yeah.
study that, a lot of the kids that have been done that way, they replicate that.
Yeah. They
But
replicate.
they don't knowingly know that's what I'm trying to get. They don't knowingly know that that's something that they're doing because they don't understand any of that stuff. They're way too young to understand stuff of that nature. And so it was just one of those things. And I had to understand that and then forgive it and know that it has, this is the tricky part. I tell people, and unless you're really ready to understand this, it may not work as well for you. But for me, it did, which was it had no power over me.
Right.
Right. So it had no power. It was taking my life this way or this way. Wherever I was, I knew where I stood. I knew who I was.
Right.
I knew what I was about. And I knew what God had in store for me. And I knew that He had blessed me with, because Rebecca and I just got married. She had blessed me with an amazing wife.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like
Right.
this is the person I had been looking for.
You
So
get
I've
you get
got that.
that. Right.
Yeah, I've got that. So what else is against me?
Hmm.
So I know who I am and I know what I got to do,
Right.
with
Right.
this situation.
That's
So,
man. That's a good. I mean, I love the way that
mhm,
you're breaking this down, because hopefully this will help anyone
hope so.
who has been molested. Anyone,
Yeah.
man, woman, whoever you are, who have been molested. Those who have also encountered pedophiles, not only
Mhm.
male, but there's female pedophiles too.
True.
So we have to call that out. We hoping that this particular segment helps these men and women understand that they still are exactly who God made them. You're not any difference because something happened to you as a child that you had no control over.
Right.
And what you're sharing, brother, as a man, I'm gonna salute you because that's real man movement stuff. It take a
Thank you,
real man.
sir.
Listen, it take a real man to come out and say, "Man, this happened to me."
Hmm.
Saying, and I know for a fact there's other men out there, because you could tell some things and they can't, just like your partner was able to see some things,
Yeah.
you know, without saying some things, he just can't. You can see some things in a lot of men, especially
Yeah.
some of these young men who are more quiet, um, that seem a little bit more sensitive. Those are the ones they look for to try to take advantage of, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen, like I said, I've met young men who have been molested, and one of the things that I always encourage them is about their man. Your manhood is still intact.
Right.
Your manhood is intact. That's the
Yeah.
one got to suffer. That's the one who have to stand before God and be judged
Right.
for that particular act.
Yeah.
So I really applaud. I applaud it because it takes a real man. And I know some. I've had some guys come out later that were my friends, right?
Hmm.
I just said, man, I never said nothing, bro, but that happened to me. Something happened to me. I'm like, and we didn't. I let them go as far as they wanted to go with it, without pushing or being too
Yeah.
inquisitive. If they wanted to come out with it, they came out with it. But
Absolutely.
for me, it's been more women. Seem like they just,
Hmm.
that had went through this molestation thing, and that is something that exists in families. That ancestral molestation type of situation.